So this is a picture of me and my baby. It was a beautiful day where my child was sleeping safely on my lap as we sailed upon the ocean. A memory that I hold dear as I watch this child grow so quickly before my eyes. I'm sharing this picture with you today because I believe that it's a strong representation of one of the biggest challenges we face while raising our children. As parents, we're forced to recognize all the dangers and risks that surround our kids every day. And yet we want so much for them to experience all that the world has to offer. So from the minute they're born, we buckle their seatbelts and wrap them in life preservers and hope and pray that we can keep them happy, healthy, safe, and alive. And then at some point, we have to accept that we can't keep them tethered forever. We must let them go to make decisions on their own with the hopes that their experiences will outweigh any of the risks that may exist. My husband and I have 3 kids. They are fantastic and fantastically horrific, depending on the day. We have a daughter first, and then 2.5 years later, we had a son. And just to add chaos, we added another daughter 3 years after that. Parenting can be a rude awakening for many of us, even when we think we're prepared for it. I believe that all those books that we read before our babies are even born, they give us a great sense of security, and they look really good on our shelves. But the reality is that these babies are born through us. They're not born to live for us. So any expectations or assumptions we may make or have about who they're going to be or what they're going to do doesn't really seem fair before we even know who they are. My husband and I, in our experience, didn't really know who our kids were until they were at least 5 years old. For instance, our son was about to celebrate his 4th birthday. He decided he wanted to have a princess party. We were totally on board, but we did try to sway him into allowing for pirates and princesses because we figured the other boys at the party may not be comfortable dressing in pink princess ball gowns. As long as he could wear his, it was good, and the party was a huge success. Typically around age 5, most of our kids end the gender exploration phase. But for our child, it was clear that there really was never a phase. In fact, it was becoming painfully clearer every day that our child didn't want to just dress like a boy or a girl. He wanted to be a girl. So, she had this dress or skirt that she wore. It was a blue sequin skirt in pre-K. She had to wear it every morning, much to the dismay of the other girls in class. I became a little bit more concerned about this fascination that she had with dressing up when she started to want to wear her sister's clothes, outside of dressing up. I tried to argue with her a little bit and say, you can still be a boy and like girls' fashions. He just looked at me and said, Mom, you just don't get it. And usually I'd laugh that off. But this time, I had to admit my kid was right. I really had no idea. I didn't get it. So I started to get it when we were shopping for school clothes. It was right before he started 1st grade. We had all the kids with us. We went into the Gap. Girls on one side, boys on the other. Our daughters were busy immediately picking out their outfits, and our son was behind us, moaning and groaning about how he couldn't find anything he liked. I tried to help him, but it was useless. He looked at me and said, Mommy, why can't I just be a girl? The air went out of the room, and my head started spinning. I was so angry at the store for being so binary, and I didn't even know what that meant at the time. I thought I could find at least one outfit that would suit a gender variant child. You know, a shirt or pants that would be okay for a boy and a girl. But in my moment of exasperation, I said it. Well, you know, when you're older, there are doctors that can help you become a girl, if that's what you really want. And the room stopped. Really? There are doctors that can make me a girl? You would have thought that I told him he was on his way to Disney World. His face lit up. And before I had a chance to answer that question, I heard myself say, "Why don't you go pick something out from the girls' side?" He ran right over to a fuchsia shirt and flowered skirt that he had obviously been eyeing while I was having my first of many panic attacks. What did I just do? Ever since I mentioned the magical doctors that could make everything better for him, his spirit changed. He was at ease in his own skin, and he could walk through his days without the weight of the world on his shoulders. I felt good about that. I had fixed his boo-boo. I gave him a light at the end of his tunnel. But now, I had to realize that I really had no idea what options he had, or if it was even fair for me to offer them in the first place. Around this time, I watched an episode on Nightline. It was about a family like ours with a child that was suffering from the same gender dysphoria that our son was experiencing. Gender dysphoria is a condition where your gender identity, the way that you see yourself in your mind, doesn't connect with your assigned sex, the parts that you're born with. The stories were almost identical. This child was just a few years older than our son, and his family was allowing him to transition into a girl. They were referring to him as her and allowing her to wear girls' clothes to school and even makeup. And it seemed to be working for them. By the end of the episode, I was sobbing because I sat there by myself in my living room realizing that this was going to be our fate. I got on my computer almost immediately and researched transgender child. I didn't find much, but I did come across a blog written by a mother who was raising a transgender boy. It was called Transparenthood. I emailed this woman right away through my blurry vision and asked her for any information she could send me. I was scared and desperate to find out how to start this process of allowing my child to be who he truly needed and wanted to be. She emailed me back within minutes, and that's how this journey really started for us. I thank God for the internet every day. Without it, our family would be lost. That Transparenthood blogger introduced us to a doctor in Boston who was starting a support group for gender variant or parents of gender variant children. My husband and I drove an hour and a half every other month to be with them. We also started reading books, learned terminology, and studied gender development for gender variant children. And then we started connecting with people on Facebook, with families like ours. I do love Facebook. Because of our connections, we were able to talk to our family and friends and tell them what our son is experiencing isn't as uncommon as we thought. In fact, That Facebook group grew to over 500 members within a year from all over the world. We were more confident in ourselves and our child. We were able to support him in exploring who he wanted to be in this world. And he was happy again. All of this didn't stop me from being completely terrified the day he decided to dress as a girl for first grade. Selfishly, I knew that the minute he walked out of our door, all of our lives would change, not just his. He came home from school disappointed that day because there were a few people that laughed at him for making the decision to dress as a girl at school. And I thought, okay, that's it. He'll be done. He'll wear his boy clothes again. But that's not the case. In fact, we had to go back to school that night for an open house, and he marched right back into that classroom in a skirt. Not just in front of the friends that laughed at him that day, but in front of their parents too. I've never been so impressed by anyone's courage or confidence in all my life. This was a significant moment for our family, and I was truly humbled by my child that day. So this is when our son started to become our daughter. Because of the support that we have from our family and friends, our child was able to transition on his terms and at his pace. He, by the end of second grade, became she. Socially, not physically. Not that you should have to know that, but I'm clarifying. And she changed her name. And thanks to the families that had to fight for all of our gender variant children, our school recognizes the importance of allowing our daughter to use the bathroom of her affirmed gender identity. But the most transformative moment for our child was when she went to a week-long summer camp for gender variant and transgender youth. Now, she has many friends at home that love and support her. But this week at camp, with kids just like her from all over the world, was awesome. She came home from camp after that week, and was depressed. She had the, after camp blues. She'd walk around the house and give us attitude with a, you just don't get it. Except this time I knew it was going to be okay. Because now she has someone that gets it. And that's when I can let her go Skype her new friend from camp. Trust me, not a day goes by when I'm not concerned for the future of our child. We understand that there's any point that our support systems may close down. And as her body changes, there will be exceedingly more complicated decisions that she will have to make. We are a supportive family, and all we can do is keep learning and preparing and loving her unconditionally, just like any other parent would, right? Please understand that there are many gender variant children that don't get the support from the adults that they should be able to count on. And that is hard to accept. This journey is complicated for everyone involved, but it's not impossible to do the right thing. And that is simply to love and support all of our children to be healthy, happy, safe, and alive. The Nightline family, the Trans Parenthood blogger, and all the others like me who take risks in sharing our stories with you, we do this because we know the rewards are worth the risk. We know that we are changing lives because we are sharing our acceptance and our support. I am the mother of a gender variant child who at this point is planning on living her life as a female. And because my husband and I took risks in allowing her to become someone we may not have imagined her to be, she has taught us a very important lesson. And that is, we live our truth through our hearts and our minds, not through the parts that we use or the clothes that we wear. So if you're still sitting here scratching your heads and going, I just don't get it, I challenge you to take risks in asking questions and finding answers. Don't be afraid to learn something new. And once you figure this out, share it with someone else, because that is what makes this world go around. Thank you. Good job.